Who's the longer-term Newport resident here? You're Orange County resident.
1881 for me.
1881?
Yeah.
What,
There were people here?
that was your,
1881 Santa Ana, yeah. My grandmother was born in 1881 in Santa Ana on Fifth Street.
So you're Orange County your whole life? And it
Yeah.
was Huntington Beach High School or
Yeah,
something like that?
correct. My mom and dad met in the Rendezvous Ballroom. My dad was from Santa Ana, my mother obviously from Huntington Beach. And he was a diver and a sailor and like in those days, a little bit jack of all trades. Stan Kenton was his piano player. Kenton was only 18, and so he got kicked out when the union came along.
I've been in Newport all my life.
From zero, Hoag Hospital, or
No,
whatever.
I was born in Griffith Park.
There probably was no Hoag Hospital.
There was no Hoag Hospital.
Yeah, there was no
But, born in Griffith Park, but your folks were already living in,
They lived in Alhambra, but moved down here shortly after, so I've been here
so within
Long time.
930s, you were Balboa Island 40s?
40s. I worked at the Jolly Roger across the street when I was in high school. Loved it. It was such fun. And it was very special if you were hired. Started out on Amethyst and in a little single wall beach house that was owned by my aunt and uncle.
Why does it mean that it's a single wall?
There was no,
Other three walls?
Right,
no, it's just,
studs outside.
there are studs
and
on
no
the inside, but no, what's it called, soundproofing, I can't think of the name of it.
Sure.
And they didn't finish the walls with
Drywall.
drywall
Yeah.
or plaster or anything like that. So, I mean, it was just meant to be a summer residence because they didn't finish the interior. We had a sand lot in the front of the house. The house is still there. It's at 307 Amethyst. I lived on Amethyst and then South Bayfront, 516 South Bayfront. It's one of the original houses on the island, which still is there.
Near the Buddy Epson house?
No, yeah, near, yes, near Shirley, about a half a block from Shirley. My first husband lived here on the island, and he managed the Union 76 gas station on the corner. So we lived in an apartment on Pearl, and this was, oh my goodness, 1959. You knew everybody. And even before that, during my school days, there were a lot of vacant lots on the island and places that you could be outside at night until the sidewalks, we'd play on the sidewalks until the streetlights went on. And that's when we'd go home. It was just a great place. Agate is where I've lived for 20 years, and then Kay's been there with me since we married 12 years.
Every house is different. Yes, you do hear the phone ring next door, but that's part of it. That's how you get to meet everybody. You can go for a walk on any street and have a new adventure because they all were built at a different period.
Some have a big tree from 100 years ago?
Yep. Yeah. In fact, they took down a tall palm tree next door just recently. And I think that it was there 50, 60 years. But I've never seen them take one out of the middle of a yard. So they got to the top, they cut the top off, and they took off 1 foot sections at a time and threw them down. And the guy's like, I didn't know they did that. But anyway, great conversations. You meet a lot of people.
We decided that we wanted to come here to the island for retirement, and we did. And we built 2 homes here, one on Emerald that we kept for 3 years and sold it and moved to Appolina, where we rented while the house was being constructed.
You only live on A streets, I've noticed. Amethyst, Appolina, Agate, is that it?
Well, no, but Emerald, that's an E.
Well, I'm not only, but 75%.
And I lived on Pearl.
Okay, 60%.
Yeah.
His district included Balboa Island.
It did, right.
So what was important to him and to you for this island in those days? I mean, you don't go to Washington to represent Balboa Island, but he was a local politician too.
I think looking back, I would have to say that when the airport was an issue about putting it at El Toro as opposed to Newport, he was very much in favor of El Toro. He was on the House Armed Services Committee, so knew everybody at the air base there, and worked really hard to see that that was going to happen, and it didn't. which was sad for Balboa Island and the rest of Newport. And he also worked very hard to keep the freeway that they wanted to put right along PCH and up through where Cliff Haven is.
Yeah, or across the Balboa Bay Club.
Yeah.
That was, all that cliff area was gonna be taken out. That was gonna be all freeway.
Gonna be freeway.
Because they wanted a freeway there for a view. So they condemned a lot of those properties.
Yeah.
The properties on the cliff really declined in value.
So he fought hard against that, and he was pro-development in the Back Bay, which didn't happen because of certain residents who I won't name. And so he was very involved in local issues.
You're a money guy. That was foreign for you? Politics?
Well, a little bit. I had met Bob Badham and helped in his campaigns as a volunteer. As we said, I was born and raised in Huntington Beach, as well as my mother. But we had property, we being the family, had property in Newport and down on 31st Street on the bay, had what they call courts. Well, courts were
Motor courts.
little motor courts, but in individual little houses. And I mean, they weren't houses, they were, you couldn't get a house, you couldn't get a car in them, they were that small.
Who cares? You're on the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was privileged during my years with my husband being in Congress to travel to over 80 countries all over the world, and got a little taste of a lot of different places and saw many that were beautiful. And we've traveled quite a bit since we've been married, and there just is no place like Newport Beach. It's home, it's Old Orange County. It really hasn't changed all that much. We've certainly seen a lot of growth with the homes that are up the hill and all, but here on the island, we still feel like it's Old Orange County. We still enjoy getting on the ferry and riding across the bay. And
Did you go to the parade?
I did.
yeah.
Absolutely. Went to the first one, went to this one.